The stretch I'm going to use today is the crystalline 0.6 millimeter. Okay, now you can use any stretch material you want. Stretch Magic, Crystalline, there's so many brands out there, I can't even begin to name them all, and there's lots of different sizes. So you can use a 0.5, a 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, or a 1 millimeter. It really just depends on the size of your beads. But for me, I also use the smaller typically because I double, unless I'm doing something really specific, like using gemstone beads or something with a bigger hole. I always double my stretch because it does add a lot more durability and it helps them to last longer. Another cool tip for all of you is if your bracelets, they wear over time, if one inner strand breaks, you've got the second for good measure as a backup. So I double mine when I'm using the smaller diameter. Now, if you're using a 1 millimeter, unless you're using a really big hole bead, you're not going to be able to double it because it won't get through the majority of the smaller to the medium beads. Okay, and then you just need some cutters or some scissors, and then I've got a bead stopper, and then you need a beading needle. And in this case, I went ahead and made mine. Another quick tip for you. I just used some regular beading wire, and I just cut a small piece. I bent it in half, and I now have a handmade beading needle. Works just the same as the ones that we buy. Okay, and then the next step before we go ahead and get started is we pre-stretch. Now, I've already went ahead and threaded on my bead stopper, my first one, and cut it and pre-stretched it. You want to make sure you pre-stretch your stretch material bracelets. So if you don't pre-stretch it over time, when you put them on and off, you will see big gaps like between the beads like that without pulling it. It'll be showing through. So it doesn't look very nice and it's not a very professional finish. So please, most important step, pre-stretch together. And to measure out your stretch when you're doubling it like I am, I go around my wrist 2.5 times. I already cut my other one, but I didn't pre-stretch it. So what I do is I kind of just hold it, and then I go around my wrist 1, 2.5 times, and then I cut it. So go around your wrist 2.5 times if you're going to double up your stretch material. Okay, and let's go ahead and get started. So I've already, like I said, threaded, pre-stretched and threaded this on my bead stopper. I've got it doubled up, and then I basically would just take that end of that where the loop is there, and you just can push it over your little handmade needle. And all we're going to do now is go ahead in the order that I have my beads laid out. I'll just go ahead and start stringing them on. And as I'm stringing them, guys, you just pull them down. That's it. Just a real simple thing. Is the last or first bead that you're feeding on your design. You want it to be the largest whole bead within your design, right? And the reason you want to have that little trick is because that larger whole bead will hide your knot, okay? And then it'll just automatically disappear within the bead. So now we've gone ahead and strung it, remove our needle. Now you're going to just grab your bracelet with the loop there between your fingers, remove your bead stopper, and now you have your tails, right? So you have this loop on one end and your 2 tails on the other. Now what we do is, the way I do it, is I grab the tails and I separate them, and I put one tail through that loop and let it drop. And then I pull the tails back together just like that. And now I'm going to hold those tails. Now I flip the bracelet towards me where I have that loop, and then I'm going to just pull my beads until that loop the beads meet each other, okay? And then the loop will meet that tail. As you can see what I mean, see what I'm doing there? I'm just pulling my beads together, and as I pull them, they're coming together just like that. And so now we have our loop right there with our tail. And that's where we're going to go ahead and make our knot. Now, you can stop right there if you want, if you're not confident about your measurement, and you can go ahead holding it, and you can put it on your wrist to make sure that it's going to fit you. And as I mentioned, I did 7¼ inches, and this one over here is, I think, this one might be around 7¼ to 7½, but you see what I mean? It's perfect. It's going to be just perfect, right? So you can also put it on your wrist. If you need to add beads, you can easily add some beads now before you're tying it off. So to tie it off, guys, what I do is we're going to do the 5-knot rule. So what I'll do here is I am going to make a regular knot right at the top, and then I'm going to pull it kind of snug, but not too tight, okay? You just want it to be snug, but not too tight. Now I've got my regular knot. Now I'm going to pick up my bracelet, and I am going to cross these tails over the bottom in opposite directions and pull them back to the top. And now we'll start our triple 5-knot. And so we go make a regular knot, and then you take a tail on the one side and feed it through the back, pull it, and I'll show you, I'll come up close here. Before I pull that, you see there how you have it, might be hard to see it, so clear wire, I should use black, but you've got a triple knot there, okay? And now we'll go ahead and we're gonna go ahead and pull that. And now same thing, we're going to take one tail and the other tail, we're gonna cross them over in opposite directions, bring them back to the top, and then we will make another triple knot. So we put the front tail through the back, and now we have a triple knot there, and we'll go ahead and pull that. And then one more time, we will pull the tails in opposite direction underneath, bring them back up on the top, and then we will do a regular knot, and then holding that tail, take one tail, push it through the back, grab it, and pull. Okay, and that is not going anywhere. And now we can go ahead and trim that. You don't want to trim it too close. Go, you know, a tiny little bit above, just for good measure. You don't want to cut your knot. Okay, so now we cut it, and because I used that large whole bead, as you can see, that knot, it's already disappearing. And let's put it on, and there you go. See, there is no stretch showing through on my wrist. It's all exactly the way it's supposed to be because we pre-stretched it. Okay, and so we've got one done, and if I put it in my board, and let me find, where is my 7? I have it upside down. Here it is. It's pretty much, yeah, it's pretty much 7 inches. I think that's my, well, that's a 6½. No, that's a 7. That's 7. Yeah, it's pretty too excessive. Just give it a nice snug pull. Hopefully I don't have to cut another piece because I cut such a nice long piece to double it. And this is how we pre-stretch. This is called pre-stretching. So it's nice and pre-stretched. Perfect. Okay? So you just do that a couple of times. Like I said, just pull it, you know, put a decent amount, but not excessive, anything excessive. Now let me see, when I double it, if I've got enough, when I put the ends together, since that piece just broke off, I should have enough because we went around 2½ times. So let me just see if I've got enough. I'm gonna go like this around my wrist and see. You know, it's gonna be tight, but we should have enough. I hate to waste material, Nothing pains me more. So we're gonna go with it, and it should be fine. And that might be, we might be able to remove a bead or two as well. I'm not sure. It might be a little bit long. Okay, so again, we just put our bead stopper on the end of our cord. We fed the needle on through the loop, and now we're ready to go ahead and start stringing. So again, I'm starting with, this is a decent little size hole in this little rondelle. It's enough to where I think my knot will go through. So I'm gonna go ahead and start there. That's how I designed it. So again, try to get a decent size bead on, with a decent hole on either your first or your last. And most of these beads have a decent size hole to where I'm fairly confident that either way you slice or dice it, my knot is going to end up disappearing because most out. So I'm just literally, my loop is almost disappearing there. So let's see what we have. Yeah, I can definitely lose 2 of those beads. So I'm actually going to do just that. I'm going to remove 1 and then 2. And then let me see what that does. I'm just putting it around, and I'm looking to make sure at the back that my beads, while pulling them on my wrist, that they are just barely overlapping each other, because once we tighten up it and tie, it will snug up a bit. But I think that you know, is pretty good, because that is just about overlapping. So I think that's perfect. So I'm going to be careful here so I don't lose my loop. So I'm going to get that in my finger before I remove my needle. Remove my needle, and now let me get that in between my fingers, and then grab my tails to remove that bead stopper. I have very little to work with to tie off here. So you don't want to short yourself like this if you're a beginner. But I'm not, so I think even though I have very little to work with to tie, I think I can make it work. So again, I've got my loop. I take 1 tail, I separate them, let it drop through that loop, put my tails together, and then pull the beads together to where they meet. Just like that. Okay? And now we will make a regular knot at the top. And then we'll go ahead and go under and crisscross. And we want to stay right where we were there. And then we will make a triple knot. Sorry guys, obviously, as you can tell, I'm working with a very small piece of wire here, or cord, because that broke, so I'm not able to really pick it up too much. I'm got a very little piece of tail I'm working with here. Okay, so I crisscrossed again, and now I am doing that triple knot, feeding 1 tail through one side, letting that drop down, and then we'll do that 1 more time, and we'll have 5 knots, I believe. And then we'll have made 2 beautiful blue stretch bracelets for me. Yay! For me, for once. I love my blue. Love my blue. And I was needing some bracelets anyway, so anyway. So now you can either force that, not like I just did, through, or eventually as it works its way around, it will go through your bead. And that's what we made. Isn't that gorgeous, you guys? Isn't that just absolutely stunning? I'm in love. Love that. Let's try it up. See here? And perfect. Yeah, see how it's a little tighter and it's not really going to move much? I love this. And then, let me go over here on the other arm. I've got my other two on here. So if we go like that, look how pretty that is. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I love it. I'm so happy with those. They're so pretty. Oh, love them. Well, anyways, guys, I hope that you enjoyed making a couple of stretch bracelets with me today. And if you give me a like, thumbs up if you think I deserve it. Have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the comments, and I'm happy to answer as much as I can. And hopefully that simplified making some stretch bracelets for you, and we'll make some more. I've got a couple more designed to the side that we need to put together, so I will go ahead and make a video on those next ones too. So until next time, friends, be blessed.